Hello there, welcome to What's Brewing. I'm Joshua Carroll and I'm joined today by Coach Kelly, head coach and athletic director for the Bruins. Coach, what a great season it's been. You know, it really...
Yeah, it's been a good season. You know, lost a couple games, won some games, and done a lot of great things. And the bonds and the fun we've had with the kids has been really good. Of course, it'll be a great season if we can top it off by accomplishing our lone goal of winning a state championship.
Certainly will. Now, last week's game against Harrison, I don't know about you, but as I've just recently heard somebody say, it made my knees sweat at certain points in the game.
I heard a lot of descriptions about the game. Yeah, no, it was, we knew it was going to be tough. I mean, this is the third year in a row we faced them in the playoffs, and unfortunately for them now, we've put them out all 3 years, which I feel kind of bad about because they've run into a good team, and we know we ran into a good team, and we've come out on top. But, you know, that was the best. I've heard many people from there say this was the best class of seniors they've had in a long, long time, and they thought this was their year. So to go up there with them with that confidence and away, on the road, in the rain, which hurts us a little more than it hurts them, to be able to do that, I was really, really proud of our kids and our coaches. Our defensive coaches and kids put together maybe the best game they've played all year, and we needed every bit of it. So it was a lot of fun, and it's the greatest part of coaching, besides the life lessons you teach and be able to help kids and see them after they come, is when we win the game, and at that moment, all the hard times they've been through, it looks like it's all worth it for them. So that's a lot of fun.
So you were able to hold, or the team was able to hold Gabe Husky, who is the pride of Harrison as a star running back. You know, they were able to hold him to just right at 109 yards, which is well below his average. How did you do that?
You know, we looked at some of the things everybody else has been doing, and we adjusted and tried some new stuff that they haven't seen. And you know, what you want to do with a team that's a machine running the ball, and they are. I mean, they could run the ball, and he's very, very good. You want to do two things. Number one, stop him before he gets started. And number two, give them some looks that'll confuse their linemen that they haven't seen. And then finally, you did want to do one more thing, and that's hit him in the ankles. I mean, he is a big, thick, strong kid. You hit him in the waist, you're gonna bounce off of him. He's gonna keep running. And our coaches put together a great scheme. You know, Coach White and Coach Thrash and Coach Taylor, they put together a tremendous scheme. I wasn't sure about it, but I liked that it was different than anything Harrison had seen. And anytime you do that, introduce something new, it's going to take them a while to adjust. And fortunately, we were able to get out of there before they could adjust well.
Well, you certainly did, and it turned out well for the Bruins. And it was one of the things that Holt and I said in the pregame show last week was that whoever's holding the ball last loses. But it turns out that wasn't the case because PA was holding the ball last and still won. A lot of that probably because of that second half turnover that Fuda Shinkawa had forced, and we ended up capitalizing on that one.
Yeah, you know, there were so many plays in that game. If you change one, the game may change the outcome. And we were able to make all those plays. And, you know, one thing we talk to our kids about is we play a game, if we lose a game, we go list 10 plays and go, guys, if we could have just made one of those, it probably makes us win the game. So they made all 10. So in this game, we had to make all 10. And if they make one of them, it might change the outcome of the game. But, you know, what's really helped us is playing Ravenwood, really good team, on the road, which played Shreveport Evangel, really good team on the road, playing in some tight games. Christian, you know, that enabled our kids to know what it feels like to be in a tight, close game at the end. So it's not all new emotions. It's not a new way to feel. You have a sense of urgency but not panic, and all those kinds of things. And at the end of the game, I was the most proud because we needed to stop on defense, and our team did a great job of coverage, and Fuda got a sack fumble, you know, and Clinton jumped on it, and then we had to run the clock out. And we haven't had to do that very much because we're usually ahead by a lot or trying to come back or whatever. And for us to be able to line up and do that with an undersized offensive line, and really it was a combination of Joe and Isarius and Jaden Kelly and Braden Bratcher, and then we had to make two throws at the end that they weren't really expecting. They thought we were going to run the ball. We threw it to Cooper White, and you got to catch those because the clock's got to keep running. And we were able to execute perfectly down that last final 3-minute stretch, and didn't give them the ball back, which we didn't want to do. But man, that made it even more satisfying the way we did it. So I'm glad you guys were wrong.
No kidding, I was too. So here's a quick one for you: Joe Hyman or Fuda Shinkawa in a 40-yard dash?
Oh, Joe Hyman, no question. Okay. Now put him in a 10-yard dash, Fuda Shinkawa.
Okay. That was almost exactly what I was thinking when we were talking during the game last week. So who would you say in a 40, who's the fastest on the team?
Joe.
Joe Hyman.
Yeah, I would say Joe. Then it's up in the air. There's several guys that are pretty quick in the 40. I say quick for us.
Right.
But I think it's Joe, and then you could throw Braden in there, or Braden Cash,
Right.
not Braden Bratcher in there. You might be able to throw Trent Sawyer in there. Fuda's good for about 20,
Right.
and then he gets to the thing that makes Fuda so great is he gets to top speed immediately.
Right.
So his top speed's not as good, but since he gets it there earliest, in that 10 yards, trying to block him as a left tackle off the edge is really tough. But those are the guys that kind of I had on being the fastest guys.
So I've got to ask you a personal question, Coach. Last week we were sitting in the press box and it was warm and toasty, but I know for a fact it was cold in Harrison. There was you'd mentioned there was a nice solid drizzle that almost continued the entire night. It was cold. It was a cold night. What's up with the shorts?
Honestly, there's a few things up with them. I grew up, and a lot of people that know me know I didn't grow up in a well-to-do family. We struggle to find food. Like so many people in Arkansas, when you talk about Thanksgiving, there's 1 out of 6 kids don't know where the next meal is going to come from. I was in that category. We didn't have a lot of clothes. I had 1 pair of pants and a bunch of shorts. And in the winter, that's all we wore. My mom did it. Kind of grew up that way. And then, my mom, until she died when she was 65 or whatever, she wore shorts everywhere. So I grew up that way. The interesting thing is I wasn't going to do it in football, and it became a thing because one night in 2003 we were playing, and it was probably 25 degrees. We're playing Shiloh Christian in the semifinals. Wind was blowing about 30 miles an hour, so the wind chill's in the single digits easily. And the kids were like, I'm telling them, you got to block out the weather, guys. You got to block it out. And one of the kids, like, Coach, can I ask a question? I said, yeah. He was like, how can you sit there and say that? You get to be all bundled up. Because at that time I was wearing pants.
Sure.
So I went and changed clothes right then and put on a short sleeve shirt and some shorts and went out there and said, yeah, if I'm asking you to block it out, I'm going to block it out. So that kind of became a psychological thing.
Sure.
My mom passed a few years ago, and I thought when she goes away, I'm gonna start wearing pants. And then one of my sisters said, like, you kind of need to do it to honor mom. So I'm like, doggone it. So then this year I turned 50, and I told somebody, I'm going to start wearing pants. And again, one of my sisters are like, you kind of got to keep going to honor mom. So I'm like, all right, I can't get out of that deal. So it's a little bit of psychological deal, but I did use it Friday with the kids. I'm like, guys, I'm out there like this. I'm out there like y'all are.
Right.
You got to focus. You can push it out. If you focus so much, at that moment, you don't feel anything else.
Right.
So I still use it that way, and I'm honoring my mother at the same time. So that's where it is.
Well, Coach, Hooten's ranked Morrilton number 2 in 5A West. We're going to talk about them in just a moment. That's our next opponent that we'll be hosting here. But in the meantime, I want to take a moment and thank our sponsor, Crown Trophy of Little Rock. Visit them online at crowntrophy.com. You're going to find out that they have far more than just trophies. The Cole family has been proud supporters of Pulaski Academy. They've put all their kids through Pulaski Academy. So you'll find that they have trophies, they have drinkware, they have shirts and things that you can buy for your Star Employee of the Month in your office. You can buy trophies for your Little League, whatever it is that you might need to show recognition around, or if maybe you're just looking for some swag items to give away at a trade show for your company. Check them out and see what they have to offer. You can find them again at crowntrophy.com.
Yeah, we're real appreciative of Jenny. Do all of our plaques and trophies through her. We even do some for our conference. They love them because they're a little step above what you can get in a lot of places. And then, of course, she and I are personal friends, so I'm biased. But they do a great job for a lot of companies. I know a lot of people are really happy with their service, too.
Well, thanks again. And once again, visit them online at crowntrophy.com. Now, Coach, like I mentioned a moment ago, Hooten's has ranked Morrilton number 2 in 5A West in the preseason. And this year they've gone 8-4. They have a very respectable record. The team is led by quarterback Jacoby Criswell, who has more than 15 Division I scholarship offers. How do you prepare for a quarterback in a team like that?
Anytime you have a quarterback that can run and throw equally well, usually those guys are a little better at one thing than they are at the other. He's equally good at both. And the bad thing is I don't like to underestimate opponents, but before I started watching the video on him, I thought he was a runner. So we're getting geared up to stop that. But then, I was talking to Coach White and Coach Taylor after watching him. We're like, dang, he's a great passer, too. I mean, this kid's a good quarterback. Now I see why he has all those offers. Sometimes I think they get one and the rest pile on, which is sometimes the case. But he makes it really, really tough. All you can do is sometimes play him for the run, sometimes play him for the pass. try to make him give up the ball. Don't let him beat you. I mean, he's thrown and rushed for 4,000 yards together, and he's a 1,000-yard rusher and a 3,000-yard passer. So he can truly beat you both ways. Well, you can't take both away from him, because if you crowd the line, then he's got too much space to throw over the top. And if you play back, he's got too much space in front to run. We're going to try to mix it up a little bit and try to get the ball out of his hands. I mean, if you leave the ball in his hands, he's going to beat you. And that's what's happened on the ones that have beaten him, are they've gotten the ball out of his hands. So that's what we're going to try to do. And I think we've got a decent plan. It just comes down to how good is he really on the field. And most of the time he's better than everybody on the field physically. So, in that case, if that happens, then we've got to score and put a little pressure and take the running part out.
Sure.
Yeah.
Coach, looking at the bottom half of the bracket, you've got Little Rock Christian that will be hosting Whitehall. Whitehall, of course, coming in as a dark horse in that division. They picked up the number 4 seed, and they're going to travel to play the number 1 seeded team in the Central Division. What do you expect out of that game?
They played a tight game last time. I think it was 26-15, and played it at Christian. What Whitehall does is makes it tough on Christian and us. And our game was an anomaly with them. We got 4 onside kicks in the first quarter, so it's not even a game. You can't measure. Everybody's like, well, they've got an easy game because y'all had 54 points on them in the first quarter. That's never happened to us before, and I've been coaching 28 years. So what they do is that they've got big physical offensive and defensive line. They can keep the ball away from you. And the best thing to do to stop Christian is keep the ball out of their offense's hands. And they can do that. They've got a really good running back, good line. Their coach is old school, disciplined, tough. And they know now, God, we were close to Christian last time. And so they've got a little confidence going in. And then throw in the fact that it's very, very tough beating the same team twice in the same season. They know what to fix, and you don't know what to change. And since you're going to stay the same, they're going to make some adjustments. Your adjustments have to be all in-game, which are tougher to make. So Christian's got their work cut out for them. I think they're the better team, don't get me wrong. But Whitehall's got the kind of players and the kind of mentality that really can beat anybody, and they've shown that. And by being in the semifinals as a 4 seed. Really proud of our conference for having 3 out of the 4 semifinalists. We'd talked all year about having a tough conference. I mean, Parkview didn't make it, and they've got the best looking talented team that I think's in our conference. They didn't make the playoffs. So for us to have 3 out of 4, and the one team that lost, Maumelle, lost by 3 points early on, or we could easily have all 4 of the semifinal teams. So I think it's going to be a good game over there. I think it's going to be a good game over here. So whether you're in West Little Rock or just West Little Rock, there's some good football that's going to be played on those fields that Friday night.
No kidding. We're going to have our game on PA Live, and you can find that at pabruins.tv, or just head over to YouTube, youtube.com/PA Live. You can subscribe there so you don't miss our game. One last question for you, Coach. Tomorrow is Thanksgiving Day. What's your favorite Thanksgiving dish?
Does that include desserts?
Sure. Why not?
I just, because I only eat it once a year, pecan pie.
There you go.
My wife's pecan pie, not your normal pecan pie. I like my wife's pecan pie, and but I do enjoy even Thursday, Friday, and into Saturday eating some leftovers.
That's my favorite part.
I love the leftovers. People complain about the leftovers. I'll eat that stuff as long as it's in there.
Right. I think I'd have to go sweet potato casserole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
nice.
That's one of my favorites.
But we all have a lot to be thankful for. A lot to be thankful for. I do want to say that. And if you're watching this, you've got a ton to be thankful for, because you're in the top 5% of the world. There's no question. And I hope sometime we take enough time to really think about that and be thankful for what we have, and continue, if you have the means, to give others something to be thankful for too. Share what you have. And I'm going to talk to our team about that today and tomorrow, because I think sometimes kids take it for granted a lot more than adults do.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for joining me once again. And in the meantime, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time. This has been What's Brewing.